So what's going on, everyone?
All right.
Today we're here with Mark Rigby, and he has walked across Africa, and he has detailed this on YouTube. So for joining us on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I inspired you to say, you know what? I'm going to just walk across the continent of Africa.
Yeah, the main challenge to me before I walked across Africa was really putting my grips on where do I belong, in this world. So I was raised kind of all over the place. I lived in Germany for 10 years. I lived in the Caribbean for, about 6 years. And then I lived in Canada for the remainder of my life. And so I never really had this kind of established, like, okay, I'm in one place my whole life. And I used to envy people for that, for the sake that they could just say, you know what, I was born and raised here, and my friends are here, and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of like dawned on me that we are shaped not because of who we think we are, but because of the environment in which we live in. So I wanted to really experience different environments, and I think one of the realest environments that I think you could possibly imagine are the ones that go through the extremes. And to me, Africa was that. You can see the most extreme of the richest, you can see the extreme of the poorest, you see nature, you see the desert, you see the rivers, everything. So I wanted to really embody that experience.
Meet Mario. Hi, my name is Mario, and I crossed Africa entirely by foot. Mario wanted to cross all of Africa, from Cape Town to Cairo, without using a plane or a car, just his feet. And if you decide to do something like that, here is what you can expect. You will spend 740 days on the road and 60 days on the water. You will spend $20,000. You will catch malaria. You will get arrested 7 times. In 3 countries. You will get bit by a snake twice. And you will get shot at by rebels. But you will be hosted by hundreds of friendly people. You will make thousands of new friends and inspire others. You will see the world, get fit and get strong. But most importantly, you will live like no one has ever lived before. That's 1 minute. See you tomorrow.
So just because normally we don't hear too many people doing this, especially within our community. So you started. You say, I'm going to walk the different nations. I mean, did you have to stop different places and stay overnight, or you just how did the plan go? Because just to do something like that for me, it's just grand.
It's a bit intense. So, I have this belief in my mind that nothing is possible. You just have to prepare for it. You have to plan it properly, strategically, and eventually you will get the success or the outcome that you're looking for. I spent about a year to prepare for this expedition. And so I think a lot of people don't realize that part. I spent a year preparing, and that's just learning how to survive outdoors, how to interact with animals, what to do in the worst situations. Because I didn't want to go into this obviously not knowing what I'm doing, and if you die, then you have nothing to say about your experience. So I wanted to live through it, and my day-to-day experience in Africa was basically like every single day was a day of survival. You have to wake up. You have to try to avoid, venomous lizards, snakes, insects, from like mosquitoes with malaria. You have to always be vigilant. As soon as you put your guard down, then there's a possibility that you could die from whatever it is that's out there.
So when you were doing this journey, what country did you feel like, oh, I better watch myself over here?
The country I felt the most threatened, I would say, is probably I would probably say Ethiopia or Mozambique. Although I love both countries, I think the people there are amazing, spectacular. But it's mainly the authorities that I was concerned about. There's an authoritarian military dictatorship in Ethiopia. They shut down the internet for 2 weeks while I was there, and they did that without warning. The reason for that was because students were there was one leak of a student who put out the exam answers on the internet, and the way for them to solve it was to shut down the internet, which caused a lot of businesses to shut down. If you talk about the government, you could go to jail. They would kill you. They would put you aside. These are things that are not really talked about outside because they control the media. They control everything. So the things that we think we know about certain parts of Africa, some of the nations, we really don't know anything about it until you're actually there. And even when you're there, you can't share the information. Mozambique, there was a conflict, a civil war, not a civil war. They had a civil war about 22 years ago. But what's going on now is you have basically Renamo forces. He's a rebel leader in the north, and then you have the government body in the south. So you have Felipe and Renamo basically fighting against each other. And I was kind of caught in the crossfire at one point, which really made me think about the chances of me not surviving this situation.
Okay, so what parts you said when you went through the whole country of Mozambique? You said they're having like a civil war.
Not a civil war, conflict. So that was about I would say it was like near east coast, south of Mozambique. So there's a river that basically splits the country in half. It's called Sabe River. And Renamo forces, the rebel forces in the north, are trying to basically blow up this bridge to control the exports of goods and imports of goods between the north and the south of the country. And this has resulted in a lot of bad situations, like me going into villages sometimes, and there's absolutely no food because the export of goods has been seized by military or by Renamo forces. And as a consequence, I suffered in the sense that I couldn't access food or clean drinking water as well. So you kind of suffer with other people because I don't have a choice to just leave. I could leave, but part of my expedition is for me to stay my course. And so that's the conflict that was happening. And there was a full-out arsenal of weapons going back and forth. And yeah, that was pretty scary. So actually, you can even find that on YouTube if you go to my YouTube page. There is you can see the shooting happening.
Okay, so what was some of the best countries that you went through?
I would say as bad as I just mentioned, Mozambique and Ethiopia, those were probably my top 5 countries. It's difficult to say which country is the best just because they're so massive. It took me 6 months to walk across South Africa, and South Africa was one of the most spectacular places, especially in the wild coast. But I felt my life threatened at some points when it came to the people who are just coming out of the apartheid, which is again just about 20 something years ago, where the white farmers or the white people of South Africa, they call the Afrikaners,
Right.
who basically killed and slaughtered the black people that used to live there. And the white people there make about 10% of the population. Black people there make about 85% of the population. Others are mixed. And so I went through an area called the Wild Coast. It's called the Transkei, which is basically untapped land. And the way to get there, you have to go on a crazy hiking expedition that requires a lot of finesse, a lot of climbing skills, crossing rivers, and you can't have any fear because you would be stuck, and if you're stuck, then you die. Because going back, if you have to go back, that means you ran out of water, which means that you're probably not going to make it. The only way to keep going is to keep going forward and try to survive every situation. So that was very beautiful. That was one of my favorite experiences because of the wildness, the wild animals, the wild, just basically untapped land by humans. And that's very rare to see these days. And I think that's something that I wish we could all see. One of the other most beautiful places was in Ethiopia along the highlands, as well as a place called Simien, the Sea Mountain, which has these wild lava baboons, very spectacular creatures. And it's it has this effect of bliss and heaven, very surreal. Shoot.
So when you completed your journey, what country did you finish your journey in?
I finished in Egypt, in Cairo, Egypt, by Giza, which is where the pyramids are.
Okay, and how was that experience seeing all the different pyramids and things like that?
Yeah, that was a very interesting experience because I had gone through my whole life understanding and believing that pyramids were only in Egypt, and those few pyramids were the only ones in existence. And I mean, obviously, we've been lied to, and I was able to see most of the pyramids are actually in Sudan, and it's the Nubian people who's created them, who built it up, and so it's seeing a different reality. And when you're there and you see it with your own two eyes, it kind of puts shock in you, and it kind of angers you at how the world is trying to control, what is history and what is going to be buried. And I wanted to follow the River Nile. That was my main thing because once I hit Sudan, I was like, you know what, I want to actually starting in Ethiopia. I wanted to follow the River Nile all the way down to Giza, which is where the major pyramids are right now. And I think being able to see them though was one of the most life-changing moments that anybody can experience because you know that these massive pieces of rocks have been around for over 3,500 years, nearly 4,000 years, and they were built by people. And you just put your hand on that rock and you can just feel the energy from people who helped build this pyramid. And to me, that was, I think, a significant way for me to finish because it was monumental. And in my heart, what I did for myself was monumental because I think the main challenge that what I wanted to do was just to complete the expedition. That was like my main focus was just complete it. And that's probably what they must have thought when they were building this pyramid, which took them, a long time to build. So every day they must have been like, you know what, we just need to complete this. We need to make sure that it's perfect. So that's why I felt that connection there.
Yeah, and for people that definitely want to see your experiences, because I've seen a few of the videos. Where can they go to see what you had captured on this journey?
So if you want to see the visualization of it, you can go to Instagram. It's just my full name, Mario Rigby. That's it. No spaces or anything like that. Or if you want to go to Facebook, it's more like a blog type interface where I really write about things in details with more pictures and more details. And that's on Facebook. You can use a search Crossing Africa on there. Another thing too is you can go on my website, and that way you can see all my media, which is www.mariorigby.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and also you have the YouTube channel Mario Rigby as well, right?
That's correct, yeah. So if you want to see, a lot of really interesting things, then I think YouTube is the place to go. But I'm also working on documentaries, so I'm working with a team of people who we're basically putting a footage together so that we could make a full feature documentary that we're going to put out in the public pretty coming, like probably earlier this year.
Okay, so everyone, I want to make sure that we're putting the pinned comment, all his contact information, and also the YouTube channel. Go over there and check it out, the videos from his journey. And Mario, I want to thank you for joining us today, letting us know how it was on the experience. And man, you take care of yourself.
Appreciate that so much. Thank you very much. Thanks for having this interview with me.